So you're into hula hooping, congratulations. It's great. Although, you're thinking you're just gonna buy one hoop, here to tell you, you're going to get obsessed and you're probably gonna have millions of hoops. I will likely show you how many I have, but yeah, you start off with one or two, and then you end up with a million. Got lots of notes here, let's go over them. Looks like I broke this down into a couple components. We've got hoop size, thickness of the hoop, material of the hoop, the finish of the hoop, as well as the grip inside of the hoop. There may be a little bonus. I see one written here, not really sure what that means. So we're gonna run through the size, the thickness, the material, the finish, and the grip, and then I'll go through recommendations based on what you wanna do. So, hoop size. When you're reading the size of your hoop, it can either be the inside of the hoop or the outside of the hoop. I'm gonna go grab a couple of my hoops and show you what I mean. Oh gosh. I'm back. So the outside of your hoop is going to be from outside to outside. All right, so from one side of the hoop, all the way, wow, the skills. All the way to the other side of the hoop on the outside. Whereas the inner diameter would be measured from the inside of the hoop to the other inside of the hoop. Okay, so we have our size, which can be inner diameter, outer diameter. Now we're going to have our thickness. So I have 3 different hoops here with 3 different thicknesses, okay? The pink one is 5/8. The yellow one is 11/16 or Goldilocks. And then this one that's taped is 3/4 inch. So there are multiple sizes outside of that range. I think there's even like 1/2 inch, 7/8 inch. The 7/8 is thicker, and the 1/2 is like the most thin. Is that the right word? A little less thick. But however, these are the 3 that I like, and my favorite is the 11/16. So your thickness, when you're a beginner, you sort of feel it, but not really. I think people recommend 3/4 inch. It's just going to be a little bit heavier. Some people can like beat it up more and feel like it's okay. I will say the 11/16, I found that the tubing actually feels thicker than some of my 3/4 inch, but I love that. And I don't know, I just prefer that one. And then the 5/8 is definitely like your lightest one of the 3 that I have. Of course, you go lighter, like the 1/2 inch and so forth. And that one just flies and can go really fast. And a lot of people like that, especially if your hands are a little bit smaller. You might prefer that to having to grab something like this, 3/4 inch. This is me holding the 11/16 and now the 5/8. Next, we have different material. I don't know. I definitely don't have PVC, but that is one that you'll typically see for a lot of the larger hoops. And even if some people make their own, they might make it with PVC. So that's one type of material. Most of mine, if not all, I might have one HDPE, but most of mine are polypro. And then HDPE is, I think it's a little bit more flexible than the polypro. Now, depending on where you live, that will determine on whether you want polypro or HDPE. So I live in Phoenix, Arizona, very, very hot here in the summer. I was ordering another hoop, like my 2nd or 3rd hoop from Dance Hoops, the first place I ordered hoops, they're great. And the lady messaged me on Etsy and she was like, hey, since you live in Arizona, I don't really recommend you get HDPE. You should probably do polypro. And since then, that's basically what I've used. And I do notice my HDPE hoop, when it gets really, really hot, it almost feels like it's like bending as you're moving it. It's a very odd feeling. So perhaps just ask the hoop maker if they have a recommendation, or just remember, if you're in a hotter climate, stay away from HDPE. The finish. So you could have a hoop taped. I'm actually gonna grab my biggest hoop because it's taped more than this guy. Hoop that is taped. You see there's like multiple tapes around here. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different tapes around. Or you could have a hoop that is bare, my favorite. Bare, this, nothing on there, very smooth. I think in the beginning, it is nice to have something that's taped, easier to grip, just nicer to work with, but I will say that I was learning how to hoop in an area that I didn't have a lot of grass, and so certain times the tape would hit the ground and get really scratched up. If you live in a place that you don't have a soft ground, or you're practicing like outside on concrete, as I was, or the dirt, you might just really scratch up that tape, and then it's gonna scratch up your arms and your legs. And I got to a point where I wasn't dropping my hoop as much, or maybe I was dropping it so much. It was just getting so, it like hurt. So I made the switch to bare hoops and I like it a lot. Next is the inside grip. So I do have a couple different grips. Oh, I actually don't. I used to have a taped inside and I don't, but I might have the grip tape. We'll go look for that. My friend gave me some tape and I definitely misplaced it, but on the inside finish, you could have bare. So it might be a little bit, if I angle it, you can see there's nothing on there. You could have it sanded, which you might be able to tell there's some like scratches in there. So that would be a sanded finish. If you decided to get a taped hoop, well, I would consider that like an inside finish, is like the tape. It's adding some sort of grip on the inside of the hoop. Or you could actually have a sort of tape that's in there, whether it's M3 tape, I think is what they use, and there's another like inside grip tape, and it's like the inside of the hoop. There would be a strip of tape all through here that would add some sort of grip. Again, it's the same reason why I don't like taped hoops. It just really tore up my hands, and I like to have nice soft hands, and it was giving me calluses on my side. Maybe I just hoop aggressively. Maybe it's me. I'm probably the problem. And that's it. So we've got the size. We went over that. We went over the different thicknesses. Went over material types, finish, and the inside grips. I'm gonna go over some recommendations, and then I'm gonna go to the bonus, because I looked over this and I understand what the bonus portion is. It's not essential to like buying any sort of hoop, but it is different aspects of hoops, types of hoops that you could get. So we'll go through my recommendations note by note. First one, if you're starting out and you think you're interested in doing on body and off body, just get 2 different hoops. Get a larger one, this is, I think 36 inches or something, definitely large for my on body. And then what I wish I started off with for off body is something like this, which is I think it's like 24 inches outside or maybe even inside, I don't know. This is a 26 and it's nice, but I really wish I started off with something smaller. I think what I started off as like an off body was a 28 that most people recommended, and it just was not for me. How did I measure that? Good question. I'm gonna show you how. So take tape measure and measure from, hold your arm out. You can hold the tape measure or have somebody help you and like grip it, as if you're holding the hoop, right? So if you're holding the hoop out to your side, it's pretty much what I was doing, holding it. I'll do it this way. And then I was seeing how far it would take to get to my armpit here, right? And so you want it to like be able to pass through up to your armpit or to your side here, right? So because some of these tricks, it's like you're doing like coin flips and things like that, where it would be easier if it was smaller to make it around, right? If I had a larger hoop, it would just be, I don't know, not easy to do certain moves that you would just want to be your arm's length. I'm not explaining it very well, and hopefully I can make an update explaining why. That's why I feel like that works. I really think it's the grip. I think you want to hold it as if you're gripping the hoop, measuring that to, if not your armpit, maybe your side, your chest. And that's 25. Okay, yeah, that's probably the best way to explain it. You're gonna pretend you're gripping the hoop and then measure it up to here, and that's probably the widest I would go for off body. And you're probably gonna find that as you learn the moves and stuff, you're like, oh wow, yeah, that works a lot easier, especially for like some double tricks and stuff. And it's just like, oh, and just coin flips are just like the perfect example that I can think, because then you could do a full arm coin flip around your whole arm and it not extend too far out or like hit up in your neck. Now for off body, I think the tip is to measure from like your belly button. Let me see if that's true. Yeah, I would say so. It's almost from like the ground up to your waist or something like that. That's probably a good off body starting point. You could even do a little less if you wanted to, but that's pretty much what I did, was from the ground up to my waist, my waistband. And that was about 36 inch, and that's the larger one that I have. So definitely 2 hoops. If you're starting out and you're thinking you're gonna enjoy this, don't go for one in between. I did that, and I mean, you can. I just wish I went the other direction and had one that was really strong on off body and learning those foundational concepts, because it was just larger, slower, easier to pick up and move around and like, woo. And a small one that I could just go fast and tear it up and do all the flippy things and move really quickly. Second tip, pick your thickness based off of your hands. I think that's just maybe the easiest way. I think 3/4 inch is a nice one to start off with, or 5/8. I've seen people choose either or. I've even seen people use smaller hoops at 5/8, or at 3/4 inch, excuse me. I just think it's really going to come down to your grip. If you have smaller hands, you're probably going to want a 5/8 inch, and 3/4 inch, it's like you're not going to be able to hold on to it. If you have a little bit larger hands, you're going to feel like your hand is like wrapping around multiple times to 5/8, or even, I wouldn't recommend 1/2 inch, but just those smaller ones, it would just feel awkward. So maybe know that about your hands, and just start with either 3/4 inch or 5/8. It's definitely going to be a little bit of trial and error, and that's probably how we end up with so many hula hoops, because it just takes a little bit and we go through phases on what we like. But you will find it. I mean, if I have to measure my palm, if you're curious on what I have. So my palm around is like 3 inches wide, and to the fingers to the wrist, it's like 3.5, yeah. Maybe almost 4. Yeah, I would say it's closer to like, it's just under 4. And I prefer the Goldilocks. That's definitely my all-time favorite. I could use the 3/4 inch, I can use the 5/8 both comfortably, but here's my hand, and my preference is the Goldilocks 11/16 size. In terms of material tips, I would say ask your hoopsmith if they have any insight on that. Otherwise, general rule of thumb, if you live in a warm climate like me, steer away from HDPE, because the second it's over like 90 degrees, that thing is a little bendy. The finish of the hoop, I think taped is totally okay for your on-body hoop. However, if it's something that you think you're going to be dropping on concrete or on the ground a lot, and it might just scratch up your skin and the tape is just hanging off, stay away from taped hoops, go for a bare hooped, and maybe some sort of, you know, maybe that's just me because I dropped things. I know people who use smaller taped hoops and they love it and it's fine. Personal preference though, probably because of my experience in dropping it in that like ground so much, was not fun. Now, inside grip. I think in the beginning it is helpful to have some sort of grip. You can pick up a lot of concepts easier. I even know people who swear by the grip and they can do lots of cool tricks and it's not slipping on from their hand. I think that's going to come down to a preference thing. Definitely start off with it taped, and then if you find that it's uncomfortable, try getting your next hoop not taped, or having some sort of like grip on the inside. I like the smoothness of this and keeping nice hands and everything, but you do pick up harder tricks, I would say, if you have something like gripping on the side, and you can do all these crazy things that those girlies on TikTok and Instagram are doing. Yeah, those are my recommendations for each of the different categories of purchasing your hoop. Now, some bonuses. We've got LED hoops. There are a few different, probably a lot of different LED hoop companies. I use Astral hoops, but there's like Mood hoops. I think there's like Hyperion hoops. There was another one as well that I'm forgetting in my head. And there's tons that make not smart LED hoops. The ones I've listed, I know they make smart LED hoops where you can like program them. A cheaper one that has a couple saved modes, gosh, it's escaping me. They're out of Tucson. I got my friend one. I don't know, when I remember it, I'll put it down here. They're definitely a good option if you want to get into LED hoops and you want to have a couple different modes and like one that shuffles around. Definitely for the price, I think it's the best one. But yeah, lots of hoopsmiths make some with just like a single LED strip or something like that, and it's nice. They tend to be a little bit heavier, so consider that when buying a size and just the speed of things. It could be easier to learn things because it's slower, but also if you're expecting to do a move in a certain way, you just have to remember that, oh, there's batteries in here, it's gonna be heavier. Another bonus is that there are sectionals, which I think, oh, I didn't grab it. Got a cool 6-piece sectional here, and I've been wanting to buy a second one, and Astral Hoops has not, at the point of making this movie, restocked them. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna order my own hoop pieces and make my own damn 6-piece sectional. Something that I want to take around when I go backpacking that I'm getting into, and it's just easier to carry it when you can break it down into multiple components. Super cool, great, but you know what? If people don't give you what you want, you gotta create what you want. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Very excited to try that out. Probably will make a video about it. And the next bonus is the type of hoop, if it's collapsible or not. So if it's collapsible, it's gonna come with, oh, gotta go inside, a push button like this. You can push it in and take it out. You see the push button and everything. Very cool. And then you push it back in, like that. So All of my hoops are push button hoops, but there are some sized hoops that they don't come with a button like that, and they're just, I think they like twist to fold down. Don't have any of those, but they do exist, so collapsible button or not. Okay, that's it. We went over the size, whether inside diameter, outside diameter. Some websites list out one way or the other, the different thicknesses of the hoop, and the type of hoop material, PVC, polypro, HDPE. There's probably other ones at this point. The finish, whether it's taped or bare, and the inside grip, whether it's bare, sanded, taped, or even has a grip strip. And then the bonuses, which were the LEDs, sectionals, and the type of collapsible button, no collapsible button. And that's it, yeah. Good luck finding your first hula hoop. Next time I come back in this video, we'll be unboxing the one that I ordered, as well as all the components to make a hula hoop. And maybe you'll join me on the video where I actually make the hula hoop. That'll be fun. Okay, bye, until then.